Imagine, just for a second, that you're trying to sell something to a customer.
Okay, setting the scene. I like it.
Yeah, but there's a pretty massive catch here. This customer is, well, they're currently locked inside a metal box,
Right.
and they're quite literally speeding away from you at like 70 miles per hour.
Which is not ideal for sales.
Not at all. I mean, they have places to be, they're making incredibly fast decisions, and if you don't capture their attention in a fraction of a second, they're just going to breeze right past your exit and never look back.
Never to be seen again.
Exactly. And that is the high-stakes reality of travel center marketing. So, welcome to the deep dive. Today we are extracting the absolute genius strategies these roadside empires use to pull traffic off the highway.
And it really is genius when you dig into the data.
It is. And more importantly, we're going to reveal how you can apply these exact same foot traffic principles to your own business, your own projects, or whatever you're trying to get people to pay attention to in your daily life.
Because it truly is the ultimate marketing stress test. I mean, you're fighting against literal physical momentum.
Yeah.
The psychology of getting someone to stop their journey and walk through your doors, that's universal. But the travel center is like the most extreme laboratory for testing those theories. You have seconds to communicate value to a moving target.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we can get into the marketing wizardry, we really need to define the playing field. Like, what separates a true travel center from, I don't know, the slightly dingy gas station down the street with the flickering fluorescent lights and the highly questionable hot dogs spinning on a roller?
The roller dogs.
Yeah.
Well, it's a massive distinction, and conflating the two is honestly the biggest mistake people make when analyzing this industry.
Yeah.
A lot of people lump travel centers in with public rest areas or just standard corner gas stations. But if you look at the Federal Highway Administration's definition,
Look at official.
we have to. Their definitions clarify that public rest areas are strictly about giving drivers a safe place to pull over. That's it.
So no commercial stuff.
Very limited, like maybe a bathroom, some vending machines, a map board. And on the other hand, a corner gas station is simply there to sell you fuel and like a candy bar.
Right.
The interaction is designed to be purely transactional.
You're in, you swipe your card, you're out.
Exactly. But a full-service travel center is an entirely privately operated ecosystem. It is a commercial powerhouse.
A powerhouse. Okay, give me a sense of the scale here.
We're talking about massive facilities that combine gasoline, diesel, and diesel exhaust fluid with sprawling convenience retail sections.
Wow.
Plus, they have quick service and full service restaurants all under one roof. They boast pristine showers, laundry facilities, dedicated car and truck parking.
Wait, laundry?
Oh yeah, full laundromats, plus full-on truck repair and maintenance bays. And many are rapidly adding electric vehicle charging infrastructure now, too.
That's crazy.
Some even feature driver lounges, movie theaters, medical clinics, and dedicated pet exercise areas.
Okay, so they aren't gas stations. They're basically land-based cruise ships designed for people in transit.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it, a land-based cruise ship. And the financial structure of this cruise ship is what dictates every single marketing move they make.
Okay, how so?
Well, if we look at the source material, there is a staggering breakdown from Travel Centers of America's 2022 annual report. It perfectly illustrates this. In that single year, they reported approximately $8.7 billion in fuel revenue.
$8.7 billion. That is an almost incomprehensible amount of fuel.
It is a river of fuel. But they also reported $2.1 billion in non-fuel revenue.
Okay.
And that covered the truck service, the retail merchandise, the restaurant sales, the diesel exhaust fluid.
Wait, I have to interrupt you there because you've mentioned diesel exhaust fluid, or DEF, a couple of times now. What actually is that?
Oh, right.
I mean, I see the blue jugs at gas stations all the time, but I have no idea why it's such a massive revenue driver for these places.
It's actually a fascinating piece of the puzzle. So DEF is a liquid used in modern diesel engines to reduce harmful emissions.
Okay.
It essentially sprays into the exhaust stream to break down dangerous nitrogen oxides into harmless nitrogen and water.
So the environmental thing.
Exactly. But here's why it matters for the business model. It is legally mandated for modern heavy-duty trucks.
Oh.
Yeah. If a truck driver runs out of DF, the truck's computer will literally derate the engine. It eventually limits the speed to like 5 miles per hour or prevents it from starting entirely.
Oh, wow. So it's not an optional upgrade like premium gas.
Yeah.
It is a forced urgent pit stop. You are a completely captive audience.
Absolutely, and that captive audience drives the most important metric in that annual report. We established that fuel revenue was $8.7 billion, which is nearly 4 times the $2.1 billion in non-fuel revenue.
Right.
So in terms of raw dollars, fuel dominates, but you have to look at the margin.
Ah, the profit.
Yes, the non-fuel gross margin was a massive 60.4%.
60%.
Yeah. Fuel gets the sheer volume of people onto the property, but the non-fuel ecosystem, the burgers, the repairs, the DEF, the merchandise, that is what makes the entire enterprise incredibly profitable.
Okay, so fuel is the hook, but the ecosystem is the actual catch.
Precisely.
Wait, how does the business structure actually work for that ecosystem, though? Because I always assumed a fast food chain just rented space from the travel center, kind of like an anchor store at a shopping mall.
A lot of people think that.
Like, does the travel center really care if I buy a burger as long as the restaurant pays their monthly rent?
It's a common assumption, but the reality is much more integrated than that. Leasing space is usually not the core business model here.
Really?
Yeah, very often the travel center itself acts as the franchisee. They aren't just a passive landlord collecting a rent check. They're the ones actively operating that quick service restaurant. They're paying the franchise fees, they're hiring the staff, and they're paying marketing fees to the corporate brand. So they have a vested operational interest in making sure you buy that specific burger because they keep the profit from it.
Which means they are desperate to get you inside that building. Because everyone needs gas eventually, but how do they make you stop there, get out of your car, and walk into the food court?
They do it by turning a necessary stop into a branded destination.
Okay, a branded destination.
Yeah. I mean, drivers need fuel and they need restrooms. That creates baseline demand. But demand doesn't dictate where the customer fulfills it.
Right, there are gas stations everywhere.
Exactly. So to win, a travel center has to attach that baseline necessity to a highly memorable promise.
They have to give you a reason to seek them out on the map, rather than just settling for them because you happen to be coasting on fumes and their sign was the biggest.
The source material highlights a fantastic case study that proves this works at any scale. It looks at an independent operator, J-Boys Family Travel Center in Valdosta, Georgia.
Oh, nice.
It's located right off Exit 11 on Interstate 75. And they don't just put up a sign that says, gas here.
What do they do?
Their entire brand promise is convenience meets comfort on the road. And they specifically target traveling families.
I have actually done that specific I-75 drive down to Florida, and I completely get this. You've been in the car for like 8 hours, you're exhausted, the kids are restless and sticky.
That's just so sticky.
You don't just want a gas pump. You want psychological relief.
And J-Boys understands that psychological state perfectly. They offer quick fueling, but they deliberately market the relief you just mentioned.
Okay.
They highlight spotlessly clean restrooms, dedicated kid-friendly areas to burn off energy, spacious RV and camper access, so you aren't terrified of hitting a concrete barrier.
Oh, that's huge for RV drivers.
It's huge. And they highlight A&W meals for a nostalgic family dinner and fresh PJ's coffee for the exhausted parents.
It's basically a highly specific combination of features that supports one clear brand promise. A safe, clean, comfortable place for a family to reset.
Exactly. In fact, NATSO, which is the trade association serving the travel center industry, they specifically identify food service as a massive competitive advantage for this exact reason.
Interesting.
A great coffee shop or restaurant pulls people in who might have half a tank of gas and wouldn't have stopped otherwise.
I see the logic there. But let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure.
How does an independent guy like J-Boys actually survive doing this? Because if I'm a massive national chain with $1 billion footprint, I can just crush him with my endless billboard budget. Like, I can put a sign every single mile for 50 miles. How does the little guy win that fight?
Well, the FAQ data from our sources breaks this dynamic down beautifully. An independent operator doesn't need to match a national chain in sheer size or ad spend.
Right.
They win through hyper-local agility. Think about it. A massive chain has a rigid national supply chain. They are offering the exact same frozen burger in Georgia that they offer in Ohio. An independent can pivot. They can offer regional products, faster, more personalized customer service, or just a highly distinctive local food offering that the corporate chains simply cannot source at scale.
Oh, I get it. So instead of offering a generic fast food chicken sandwich, an independent in Texas could offer genuine, locally smoked brisket.
Exactly, because niche specialization allows you to do one thing perfectly rather than 10 things poorly.
Yeah.
If you can promise the absolute best brisket on a 100-mile stretch of highway, or the absolute fastest hot meal for a professional driver on a tight legal schedule, you don't need a national billboard budget.
Right, because the reputation does the work.
You just need to deliver on that specific niche promise better than anyone else. And this is something anyone listening can apply to their own work. Like, are you trying to be a generic solution for everyone, or are you delivering a hyper-specific promise to a targeted group?
That's a great question. So you build this perfect hyper-specific regional destination,
Mm-hmm.
but none of that matters if the customer just drives right past the exit. We have to move from the physical building to the psychology of that split-second choice.
You are talking about the 70-mile-per-hour decision window.
Yes, and here's where it gets really interesting. How much planning actually goes into these stops? Because I know when I road trip, sometimes I map out every single coffee break on a spreadsheet, and sometimes I just panic when the low fuel light dings and I swerve across 2 lanes.
The data strongly leans toward the latter, even for the seasoned professionals.
Really?
Yeah. The NATSO Foundation's 2026 professional driver research found that 42% of professional drivers plan their fuel stops on the same day.
Wait, nearly half of the professionals, people who drive heavy machinery across the country for a living, are deciding their stops on the fly.
They are reacting to real-time variables. They're looking at same-day fuel prices, immediate parking availability, and interstate access based on traffic delays. This means marketing has to work at the exact moment of intent. But the complexity deepens because a travel center is actually serving 2 completely different demographics simultaneously, and their marketing has to address both without confusing either.
Oh, you mean the professional trucker hauling freight versus the family in the minivan heading to Disney World?
Precisely. If you are a professional driver, your priorities are highly functional and deeply urgent. You are governed by strict hours of service laws.
Right, they have clocks ticking.
You need guaranteed truck parking, you need a hot shower, and you need 247 repair services in case an axle breaks at 2 a.m.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But if you are a passenger vehicle traveler, you're looking for well-lit, clean restrooms, a safe place to walk the dog, and family-friendly food options.
So a generic billboard that just says, "Welcome to our travel center," is a total waste of money. It doesn't solve the specific problem of either group.
It is entirely ineffective noise. Inside a short decision window, clarity beats cleverness every single time. A roadside sign or a billboard needs to communicate one dominant reason to stop. Hot food and clean restrooms at exit 42. Or 50 truck parking spots available. It makes the next required action blatantly obvious.
And I imagine this applies even more heavily to their digital marketing strategy.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about when you're in the passenger seat, frantically searching Google Maps or Waze for a place to stop. You aren't searching for a brand's philosophy or their corporate history.
No, definitely not.
You're typing in hyper-specific desperate needs, like truck parking near me, food and showers near exit 18.
And if a travel center has not optimized their local search visibility for those exact desperate phrases, they essentially do not exist in that crucial moment of need.
Wow.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, digital advertising for these locations isn't about broad brand awareness campaigns. It is highly targeted, location-based advertising that pops up on your phone when you're exactly 10 miles away, answering the exact problem you are currently experiencing in the cab of that vehicle.
It's like digital triage. You're not trying to give them a holistic wellness exam. You're just trying to stop the bleeding of their immediate problem, whether that's a screaming toddler who dropped their juice or a terrifyingly empty gas tank. You just hold up a sign that says, "Here is the bandage. Exit now."
Digital triage is the perfect analogy. You are intercepting the consumer at the exact moment their need peaks, offering the most frictionless solution.
Okay, so let's say the digital triage works flawlessly. The Waze ad pops up, they take the exit, they pull into the massive parking lot, and they walk through the automatic sliding doors. Success, right? Mission accomplished.
You'd think so.
But the data in the sources says this is actually where the whole system often breaks down. Why are customers suddenly abandoning the mission when they are 3 feet from the register?
This is perhaps the most shocking metric in the entire deep dive. It highlights the friction problem. Natso surveyed professional drivers, and they found that 81% of them had walked into a travel center and left without buying food or beverages in the previous month.
Wait, 81%. I have to
Yeah.
pause on that.
It's wild.
So a business could execute a brilliant marketing campaign, spend thousands on perfectly targeted geofenced ads, have the most visible billboard on the highway, successfully convince a driver to pull a massive 18-wheeler off at 70 miles per hour, get them out of their cab, get them through the front door.
And then totally fail.
Yeah, totally fail to make a sale simply because the checkout line is too long.
What's fascinating here is the realization that operations are marketing. The marketing promise got them to the physical door, but the operational reality failed to close the deal.
Wow.
The primary reasons drivers walked out empty-handed were long lines and unpredictable wait times. You have to remember the psychology of a truck driver. They are on a rigid, legally mandated schedule.
Right.
They might only have 45 minutes left on their drive clock. Friction, in the form of a 15-person line at the sandwich counter, is the ultimate enemy of foot traffic.
That is heartbreaking from a business perspective. To do all the incredibly hard work of acquiring the customer and then fumbling the ball at the 1-yard line because you didn't schedule enough cashiers. So how do the top-tier travel centers solve this friction problem?
They build a loyalty and convenience ecosystem using technology to systematically remove the friction. Take Travel Centers of America, for example.
Okay.
They've developed an app that fundamentally alters the driver's experience and reduces their cognitive load.
How does it work?
Before the driver even pulls off the highway, they can use the app to check real-time fuel prices, reserve a specific parking spot so they don't have to spend 20 minutes hunting for one, and actually book a time slot for a shower.
Think about the psychological relief of that. You aren't pulling into a crowded lot, stressed out hoping for a spot, standing around a dingy hallway waiting for a number to be called over a loudspeaker. You have certainty. You know your spot is waiting, and you know your shower is ready at 8.4.
And by removing that stress and providing certainty, you open up the driver's mental bandwidth. A relaxed driver with guaranteed parking is far more likely to browse the retail aisles, sit down for a hot meal, and spend money.
Because they have the time and they aren't stressed.
Exactly. And while they are doing that, the app is running a gamified loyalty loop. They're earning fuel-to-food rewards. The system connects their mandatory purchase, the massive volume of diesel fuel, with a high-margin reward, which is the food.
So they're essentially designing the next visit before the current one even ends.
It creates a closed economic and psychological loop. Tomorrow, when that driver needs fuel again, they don't have to rethink their decision or search ways.
They just open the app.
Right. They just look at their app, see they have enough points for a free steak dinner, and the decision of where to stop is already made.
I love how that connects the mandatory action to the discretionary purchase, which leads us perfectly into the universal framework that underpins all of this. Because to make sure there isn't a disconnect between the marketing promises and the operational reality, to avoid that 81% walkout disaster, these centers use a specific metric system.
Yes, the foot traffic funnel.
Exactly. And this is the tool that you, the listener, can apply to your own life, your own retail space, or your own digital projects right now.
It's a 5-stage sequence that moves foot traffic from a vague, abstract concept into measurable, actionable revenue. Those stages are attract, choose, arrive, buy, and return.
Let's break those down and let's use a real-world scenario for the listener. Say you run a local brick-and-mortar bakery. Stage 1 is attract.
Okay.
Did your message actually get attention? In the digital world, this is your search visibility or your ad engagement. Basically, did anyone even see your post about the new sourdough bread?
And then stage 2 is choose. Did they select your location over the alternatives? You measure this by looking at Google Map views, direction requests, or clicks on a specific promotional offer. So they saw the sourdough post, but did they intend to actually drive to your bakery?
Then we hit stage 3, arrive. Did that digital intent translate into a physical visit? You measure this by door counts or parking lot utilization. Did they physically walk off the sidewalk and into your bakery?
Stage 4 is where the travel centers face that 81% metric, buy.
The crucial one.
Did the visit actually produce revenue? You track the conversion rate and the average transaction value. Did they buy the sourdough? Or did they take one look at the massive line wrapping around the counter and walk back out?
And finally, stage 5.
Yeah.
Return. Did the experience create loyalty? This is your repeat visit rate and reward program usage. Did the sourdough taste good enough? And was the checkout fast enough that they came back the next Saturday?
So what does this all mean for the listener? I look at this funnel like a car engine.
Well, if you own a business and sales are down, the instinct is always to just pump more gas into the tank.
Sure, just buy more ads.
Exactly. Run more promotions. Shout louder. But this funnel tells you exactly which part of the engine is broken. If your map views are way up in the choose stage, but your physical visits in the arrive stage are flat, pouring more money into ads won't fix it.
You have a friction problem with your directions, or there is zero parking near your bakery.
That is the exact diagnostic power of the funnel. And if your physical visits are up, like people are actually walking through the door of your bakery, but your sales in the buy stage are flat, you do not have an advertising problem.
You have an operations problem. That's the 81% rule again.
Yep.
Your store layout is confusing, your wait times are too long, or the product just isn't appealing once they actually see it in the display case.
It stops you from wasting thousands of dollars on Facebook ads when the real problem is that your checkout system keeps crashing. It forces you to align your marketing promise with your operational reality.
It ensures that the destination you built is actually functional once the customer arrives.
We have covered some incredible ground today. We've seen how travel centers survive and thrive in the most extreme marketing environment on Earth. They give customers a destination-worthy reason to visit, whether that's locally smoked brisket or a pristine shower.
Yeah.
They intercept drivers in that 70-mile-per-hour decision window with pure Clarity Digital triage that solves an immediate problem. And they make the operational reality so smooth with apps, guaranteed parking, and loyalty loops that the customer's cognitive load drops and they inherently want to return. The big takeaway for you, listening right now, is to ask yourself, what is the signature experience that makes someone choose my project, my business, or my idea over the familiar alternative? Are you just offering gas, or are you offering convenience meets comfort?
It is a vital question for anyone trying to capture attention. And looking at all this data, this raises an important question for the future of this entire roadside industry.
Ooh, what's that?
Well, we've established that the entire travel center model relies on enticing people during a highly compressed 5 to 10 minute fuel stop. But what happens to this massive, finely tuned ecosystem in an electric vehicle future?
Oh, wow.
Right. When a full EV charge takes 30 to 40 minutes instead of a 5-minute diesel fill-up, the dynamic shifts completely. Suddenly, these travel centers aren't just competing with the gas station down the street.
Because the driver is there for nearly an hour.
Exactly. They are competing with movie theaters, with public parks, with shopping malls for that driver's time. How will the branded destination evolve when the customer goes from being a fleeting 70-mile-per-hour target to a captive audience for 45 minutes?
Oh, that is a wild thought to leave on. The whole psychological game changes from how do we get them in and out as fast as humanly possible to how do we entertain and engage them for an entire hour. Incredible. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking those big questions. Keep exploring the world around you. And the next time you are speeding down the highway at 70 miles per hour and see a giant sign for a hot meal and a clean shower, you will know exactly the invisible machinery working to get you to take that exit. Until next time,